Hey, what's going on, everyone? Good to see everyone back. Hey, I just want to say thanks once again for watching my videos, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to view the content that I feel like would be interesting to a lot of you guys, chess related content. Like I myself, I'm always very interested when somebody else posts something chess related and I watch and comment. And so when I see people watching my content, that really kind of inspires me to do more and to be able to share more things with you guys. Okay, anyways, I wanted to go ahead and get started. No new chess sets today. I wanted to talk about a few other things. I got this shirt probably more than a year ago from Cafe Press. Really cool shirt. Cafe Press allows you to come up with any type of design, whether you can even type stuff up, and or you can choose something along the lines of what they have. And when you go to their like chess section, you can find all kinds of stuff like related to like Bobby Fischer and everything. I wanted to get something neutral, something that's like not in your face, because some of the stuff they had was a little like funny or like don't mess with a person who knows how to play chess. I felt like that was a little bit too like too arrogant, so I just wanted to get something very plain. But at the same time, you could see here it's just a piece of a king, and you can get different colors. So you can get like white, yellow. I actually was gonna go with yellow, but I ended up getting this sort of brown color, just a very neutral color. Just a normal shirt, and they screen printed on you, and then you get it in like maybe a couple of weeks. It's because the other stores in like our town or around, they don't have things like this. And so a lot of times if you want to show off that you play chess out there in a very sort of a neutral, discreet way, but you want people to recognize you. I've had some the people that looked at me at the store and saw the shirt and were like, and I was like, I mean, this isn't Fight Club, guys. It's all right, but it was still kind of nice. So you don't get something like this unless you go and get it special ordered. And I felt like Cafe Press, as long as you just pick your size, I feel like this was a medium for me, and I didn't go with the small or anything, but this medium size fits me well. The shirt is not super like, it's kind of heavy duty. It's not super soft or anything, but it's still really nice. And they also give you different shirt selections. Like I think you can pick long sleeve, short sleeve. You can do even a hoodie and get something screen printed on it. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and go check that out. Another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is last video I was harping upon the fact that I got a chess set that didn't exactly look like the picture online on House of Staunton. And I felt like I got a different wood, and then I had to call them, and they explained to me that Golden Rosewood is a pseudo name, and that Acacia Wood is essentially the same as Golden Rosewood. And then I went online and did some more research, and they said that very frequently golden rosewood is substituted with acacia wood because they're so similar. And I've had people that commented that golden rosewood and acacia wood are just like so similar, you probably wouldn't be able to tell them apart. It's no big deal to me. I wasn't going to return that set. It was just really nice and everything. It would have been nice that they included that it was made out of acacia wood, but water under the bridge, no big deal. What I did want to show you guys is I went to a store called Woodcraft. We do have one here in town. If you do have Woodcraft, you can go in and they have a pretty large wood selection, like actual pieces of wood, sort of like this, that you can just choose and look at. And so these little blocks are generally designed for wood turning. So just like they make chess sets, they attach it to a wood lathe, and then this thing spins, and you put a knife to it, and basically as it spins, you're carving out your piece. So this here was $4.99, and this is Bloodwood. And what I wanted to tell you guys is that I probably spent a good hour there, and I looked through all the different wood selections. And I came upon the Bloodwood, which looked really aesthetic. It's got a really nice red tint. I don't have a wood lathe as of yet, and I'm actually trying to. We have a person next door who works a lot on wood, so I'm gonna go and try to catch him when he's outside and bring this to him and say, hey, like, do you know anything about wood turning? Can you show me or whatever? I just don't know if I want to spend the money or the time doing that right now. But one important thing that I want to tell you guys about is that I held this block of Bloodwood, and I found another block of Bloodwood that was the same size, same dimensions, like same price and everything. and I held them next to each other, and one was this color, and the other one was more brown. So like, you could tell the difference. They were probably made out of different wood or different parts of the same wood, but whatever the case is, that just goes to show you that, unless you're getting like a plastic chess set online where you know exactly what color it's going to be, you might get something that's not going to look exactly like the online picture. And that's okay, because that's just part of the natural variability among wood color and wood stains. So obviously we hope to get something that looks exactly like the picture. And in that case of the previous video with the acacia wood, it didn't look as red as the picture did, but I kind of got bent over shape over the slight variability in color, where you could recognize that even the same wood coming from different trees might look different. And so that just, it's kind of fascinating to think about, because when they're making these chess sets, they would have to use the same color wood. Like, they can't just get a bunch of bloodwood from different trees and make a same chess set, because then like the rooks are going to look different color, and then the knights are going to look different color. So they have to take one piece of wood and basically, break it apart into a bunch of cubes or whatever, and process them to make a chess set. So that's already pretty significant. I mean, I feel like that's pretty awesome already. To not to mention the amount of time that it actually goes to making one of these sets. I feel like you're definitely gonna get your money's worth if you consider getting a wooden chess set, just because. I mean, and future proof too. Like, you get a nice wooden chess set, it's going to last you for a very long time. And then down the road, if wood or that particular wood gets more expensive, well, you got a little bit of an investment too. You could always sell it and get something different, if like wood becomes more expensive. Like that movie, Blade Runner, the new movie, and he has that wooden horse, and then somebody was going to give him like so much for it, just kind of that. So pretty cool, pretty cool. Like I said, I might get this turned into a piece of into a chess piece, and if I do, I'll definitely show it to you guys in one of my videos. Okay. So another thing, another thing I wanted to show you guys is that I did find one of my old plastic Staunton chess pieces. This was one that I bought from uschess.org. Their sales like a long time ago. This set cost me like close to $100. So when I think it was about $100. So I really had pretty high expectations out of a plastic chess set. And then down the road, I pretty much ended up losing most of the pieces. The kids ran off with them and everything. But one of the things I wanted to show you guys is that when you hit this, you can feel that there's hollowness inside of the piece. So the chess sets, the plastic chess sets that I've shown you guys like recently in some of my videos, they were all like solid inside, solid plastic. But for $100 plastic chess set, I felt I was disappointed, because it has hollowness inside of it. And because it has hollowness inside of it, even the pawns are weighted with a pretty large weight deviation towards the base. And so like I played with this particular chess set for a while, but I felt like crap, like $100, I could have got myself something more. Anyway, so that's that. Lastly, let's go ahead and move on to what I wanted to show you guys today, and it's this. I'm not gonna flip the box over because I've already opened it, and the pieces are gonna go flying everywhere. But if we can read upside down here, it says "No Stress Chess." I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this in the stores on the shelves. Like Target sells it. I know Barnes and Noble, I think, sells it. Maybe Walmart sells it. I'm not really sure, but. The other day, my wife told me, hey, can you go to the store and pick a gift for this 7-year-old girl's birthday party? So she was a friend. So I went to the store, I looked through the doll section, I looked through the other sections, and I stumbled upon this, and it says on the box that 7+ is the recommended age range. So I looked at it, I passed it, I came back to it, and it was only like $14.99 or something like that. So I picked up a box for her. And then I picked up a box for myself, because I have 2 kids of my own. And although they're not 7 yet, they are eventually going to get there. And I felt like I really wanted to teach them how to play. I have heard a lot of good things about this from my wife and her friends. They said that their young kids were able to play this and they really enjoyed it, and you get to learn how to play chess in a very no stress way. So how does this work? I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering, like, if you've seen this around, like, how does this work? You know, does this actually eliminate all the stress out of playing chess? So let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside. The box is fairly light. I've already opened the box and kind of was able to just kind of remove the plastic and everything. The back side of it here, you have to keep everything inside the box when you're storing it. You get a little board inside made out of cardboard. It's kind of laminated. I guess you can utilize, like, you can even do like a washable marker on this and then you can erase it. One side is your regular chessboard. Pretty small overall size-wise. The other side is pretty neat because it has all the pieces drawn on where they're supposed to be. So they recommend that when you're either teaching or starting out, just utilize this side for the actual game. Okay, so basically your 7-year-old or however old it takes all the pieces and they just basically put all the pieces where they need to be. The only exception here is that they do tell you that they want you to push the center pawns forward in this arrangement. So they want you to push the d pawn to d4 and then the e pawn to e3, from e2 to e3. That way, they explain it as this is a fairly common opening among experienced chess players. So that way, you know, you're kind of already started somewhere. In reality, and this will make sense in just a second, but they want to go ahead and open up the center so that the pieces already have the capability of coming out. Okay, that's probably the logic behind moving initially the couple of pieces. Okay, so we have the board. I'm gonna go ahead and put it down here. The chess pieces are very tiny. The queen, the king, the queen, they are hollow inside. It's just very light plastic overall. And so basically, we'll go ahead and arrange all the pieces. Okay, so we arranged the board with the white pieces being towards me, the black pieces being towards you guys. One of the things that I want to mention is that the board's pretty stable. You know, once you unfold it, the pieces don't slide too bad on the board, but I could see that because the pieces are so light here, and if you're playing this with your kids or something, the pieces are pretty close to each other. So there, I feel like there's going to be that opportunity where, not opportunity, but there's a chance that you can knock over a bunch of pieces, especially if you're not really careful. So that would be my only kind of downside about this particular set. It's just, it's so small that I feel like you can knock pieces over accidentally. And if it's windy outside, I probably would not recommend taking this outside, just because it's so easy for the wind to knock everything over. It's a very inexpensive set. You have this instruction, this giant instruction that basically introduces you to how to play this particular game. There is instructions, there's a lot of instructions. I don't foresee them having to force a 7-year-old to read all these instructions, but I guess for the parent, got two sides. One side basically explains how to play regular chess, the other side explains how to play the no-stress chess. Then you get this little plastic thing with a deck of cards. There's the deck of 56 action cards with the little plastic, pull them, and then what you do is you put them in the center right here. And so what ends up happening is that you put this next to the board, and let's say that I'm going first. I pick up a card, and it tells me what to play. So this particular card tells me that I'm going to be playing with the queen, and it tells me where the queen can go. Okay, so once you picked up a card, you put it face upwards on your side. Now, basically, it tells you go ahead and move the queen. The things that you cannot do is you cannot jump over pieces. Nothing unusual. You can go if your piece can go. Essentially, if your piece is not locked in, it can go. Then you go. I don't think that in the instructions it tells you that you shouldn't go. Like if you have the opportunity to go, that you can go. I don't think they give you the option of just saying I don't want to move that piece. I think once they tell you you can move, then basically you can move. So that tells me go ahead and move the queen. So in this case, the queen's already has the opportunity to go. No, I'm gonna go ahead and move the queen. That's where I was telling you guys that initially they tell you to move the center pawns out, because otherwise you shuffle the cards and then none of your pieces can come out. So that's a bummer. In this particular case, at this arrangement, if your first card was a rook, then basically what happens is, because the rook is locked in and cannot move anywhere, then you would skip a turn and then the opponent would pick a card. So in this particular case, you move the queen either diagonally or in a straight line, however many pieces you want to, as long as it's not blocked by your own piece. So I can move forward by 2, and then I can move diagonally all the way till I go to the H file. So once I do that, then the opponent picks a card. The part that's interesting here is that you can't check the king. And the way that it works is that if you have a queen and it can move right next to the opponent's king, you can do that. And you can sit right next to the opponent's king, and the opponent is not in check because there's no check in this particular variation of the game. So basically what ends up happening is that if, let's say, you draw a particular piece, and it says that piece, let's say it's a rook, and the rook is able to move horizontally or vertically, as a rook usually does. If you see a piece, an opponent's piece, that's in the same path of the rook, you can take that piece. If you draw a card, that basically means now the rook goes. I don't want to confuse anybody, but basically the objective of the game is to capture the king, to actually capture him, not to check him, to actually capture him. You end up capturing the opponent's pieces, but because it's a deck of cards, and because the cards are random, you might think that you're winning the game, and then the opponent draws a card and ends up capturing your king, and the game is over. What allows this, basically, what it makes it seem that like there's no stress to this particular game, is that basically you don't actually have to think about like, oh, which piece do I want to move and where do I want to move it. All you have to do is think about where you want to move your piece out of the choices that you have. What piece you're gonna move is selected for you by, that decision is made for you by the cards. So that sort of eliminates the stress out of the game, because you can be playing an opponent that knows how to play chess and you really don't know, and both of you can have a lot of fun because it's very unpredictable and it's very random. So basically, now that you picked a card, the opponent gets to pick a card, and once again we got a queen. So now the opponent has the opportunity to move his queen where he wants to. So let's say he wants to move it diagonally. Here we go. Now I get to move. I get to say there, okay, I have a bishop. So when you have a bishop, you have two different bishops. You can choose which bishop you want to move. So I want to move my light squared bishop to, once again, I move it as if I'm going to check the king, but the king doesn't have to do anything on the next move because there's no check. Now the opponent chooses, has a knight, so they get to play with the knight. If they have a knight and they're able to play with it, then basically they will play. My next turn, I'm getting a rook. Because my rooks are locked in, I skip a turn. The opponent goes with the next turn. The opponent has a pawn. It shows that on the first move, you can either move the pawn 1 square forwards, 2 squares, or capturing diagonally. That just like you would. It says if you have the opportunity to capture diagonally, you can capture diagonally. So let's say that they're gonna go ahead and move one of their pawns forward. Now I got a pawn again for the light side, and I'm going to go ahead and capture diagonally because he moved forward, so I capture, I take that piece. Move same piece. Okay, so this is a special card. It says move same type of piece again. When you get this card, you can either choose to move your previous piece that's already on your side, which is a pawn, or you can move the opponent's selected piece, but not the opponent's piece. Like, let's say that his previous one was a knight and yours was a bishop. You can choose to either move your bishop or you can choose to move your knight. That's what this card means. So I think there's a total of 6 of those cards in here. So, okay, you moved your piece. Let's say move same piece again. I have a piece. I move the pawn. I eat the queen. Great. Moving forward. The opponent. Alrighty, I'm not sure if I shuffled this really well, but it seems like I'm getting these like repeated. Move same piece again. In this particular case, I mean pawn or a pawn. So they get to move with the pawn. So they can take my pawn right here, or they can move whatever they want to do. King. The king can move and capture pieces just like any other piece, which makes it kind of interesting because if you have your queen right next to his king and he draws this card, he can eat your queen with his king. So that's pretty funny. So let's go ahead and we'll go move the king. Queen for the black piece, or hold on, no. Let's go ahead and move the king wherever we want to move him. Queen for his side, so he's gonna go ahead and move. Well, he has no more queen, so I guess he skips a turn because he doesn't have a queen. Bishop on my side, I'm gonna go ahead and move my bishop. I eat the knight. So as you can see here, basically you're going through. If they say if you utilize your entire deck, then you put all the cards back together, reshuffle, and then you can continue playing. 56 cards, so the objective is to basically capture the other opponent's king. That's basically the objective. There's a couple of different variations to this. This particular variation of the game is the very basic entry level variation. You do have the like level 2 and level 3 variation to the game. And basically what level 2 ends up being is in level 2, before you even start the game, you get to shuffle out 3 cards to your opponent and 3 cards to yourself. And then, you know, obviously with the deck being shuffled, put it over here. And then you start the same way. So what happens is you grab a card and you put it together like this. And you look at all your cards that you have in your hand. And you get to pick one. It gives you a little bit more variety. So let's say you have a pawn. In this case, I have a bunch of nonsense. But let's say you have a pawn, a bishop, a rook, and a knight. And you look at your cards and you say, I want to play the rook. You put it down and you play with the rook. Then the opponent does the same thing too, is they have those 3 cards that they have. They can take a card and then they basically will get to pick out of their 4 cards which piece they want to move. That gives them a little bit more choice. If they're not happy with the cards at all, they can choose to trade all of their cards in, but they lose a turn. So they'll say, okay, I want to trade all of them in. The deck gets reshuffled, and then they get 3 more cards, and then they lose a turn. Okay, so that's kind of interesting with that. The level 3 variation is instead of 3 cards in the beginning, each opponent gets 5 cards. So it just kind of gives us a little bit more room to be able to utilize like which piece we want to play. So they get 5 cards, you get 5 cards. Deck gets placed here, and then the opponent, if you're playing first, you look at your cards and you pick the 6th card, and then you pick out of the 6 which piece you want to go, and then you go with that piece. So that's about it as far as how this plays. Obviously, there's further variations of advanced variations where you're introducing castling, where you're introducing en passant, and like a couple of other stuff. So, and if you read it in the instructions, it slowly gets you more into playing a regular chess game. The opposite side of this board does not have all the drawn pieces on the board, and basically once you're ready for the regular game, just flip it over and you can utilize these pieces and play a regular game. So basically, they're trying to take out the idea that like you have to decide which piece you want to move. and they want to supplement it with, hey, we'll make that decision for you with these cards. I feel like that's a really cool idea, especially for somebody who's just initially getting into the game, for young kids out there, or to level the playing field to a degree. Because here's the thing, you might think this is completely random, but an advanced player, like, okay, so you draw a card and it says pawn. You have a lot of pawns on the table and you can move one of those pawns. Well, a more advanced player might anticipate that he's going to need to get that rook out, or he's going to anticipate that he doesn't want to block the path of his next piece, and he might actually kind of understand this particular variation to where he's going to try to allow himself to basically facilitate his next movements. If you're just beginning player in this game and it tells you move a pawn, you might move any pawn, which is still fine because it's still kind of random, and even if you are thinking a lot, you might end up losing the game anyways. So, but still pretty cool. I feel like the cards is definitely cool, but I'm not really fond of this particular chess set just because it's so small and just so like really fragile and easy to knock over. If you end up getting this particular no stress chess, you can always utilize the cards on a bigger board. You can just, hey, let's just use a bigger board. You know, if you have a wooden chess set or a tournament size chess set, it really doesn't change anything as far as what we're doing here. And you can still play the game just as you would. So bishop, let's go ahead and use the bishop, you know. Next, you know. So, but this is pretty inexpensive, and I feel like for $14.99, you're pretty much paying for the material here. I mean, it does take money to print these pieces. It does take money to print this board, to make these cards, to make, I mean, that's a lot of stuff. So yeah, they're making some kind of a profit on it, but still, it takes a lot, you know. So for $14.99, this is great. Another idea is, when I looked at this, I think maybe like you could do dice too. Like if you had a dice, you could throw a dice. It has 6 sides, so queen, king, queen, a bishop, knight, rook, pawn, 6 sides. If you had a 6-sided die with the pieces like drawn on it, you could just toss the die instead of having the cards. Then it's, you know, if it lands on a rook, okay, I'm gonna move with the rook. If the person playing the game already knows how the pieces are moving, because these here tells you exactly how the pieces are moving. You know, if somebody's really new to chess, they would definitely benefit from understanding how to move the pieces by looking at the cards. I'm sure when they were creating this no stress chess, so I'm sure when they were you know, making this chess set initially, when they had ideas, I'm sure die was something that could have been thought of, you know, as a possibility. But this is, you know, this is still really nice. And in the variability, like in one of their more advanced variations, like the level 2, where you have like 3 cards and you pick a card, you could have like 4 die that you toss. The only problem that I'm seeing is, first and foremost, die can be pretty loud, and always tossing the die, especially when the kids are playing with the die, it could be falling off the table. You could be looking at where it landed. You know, you really have to kind of get really good at that, you know, tossing die. Whereas in the cards, you know, picking a card isn't really hard. And then nobody forgets what your previous piece was. Whereas with the die, you know, like, what was your previous toss? Oh, I don't remember anymore. But still, I feel like this could definitely be played on a different board. This is really, really nice to play, but you could always substitute for a bigger board. So there you have it, guys. I just wanted to show you this because I've always walked past this no stress chess thing, and I always thought, I mean, is this something, and how do you play it, and does it make sense? Is it really no stress? You know, is it something that allows people to learn how to play? And I feel like, yeah, not only for kids, but like if, for example, you have somebody who knows how to play chess and they are with somebody who is like a very beginner chess player or doesn't really know, they could get together and have a lot of fun with this, because it's like I said, it's kind of random, it's very sporadic, and it can be fun. And you don't, you know, if you lose, you don't really feel as bad because it was random. And if you win, well, then, you know, you could still have a lot of fun. Anyways, Thanks guys for watching this video, and I will be making more videos in the future, so go ahead and subscribe to my channel and like this video, and I'll see you guys next time, okay? See you guys later.